Tom was a quiet man, the kind who did his work without asking for much attention. Every morning, he arrived at Ray's garage early, long before the sun fully rose. The garage was his second home, a place filled with the sounds of clinking metal, roaring engines, and the smell of oil and gasoline. Tom liked the calm of the morning, the way the world seemed still before the day grew busy. Today was no different. Tom pulled open the heavy door of the garage and stepped inside. The air was cool and smelled like oil and rubber. He put down his small toolbox carefully and walked over to the row of motorcycles waiting to be fixed. Some were old, some were newer models, but all of them had a story, and Tom knew each story by heart. He started with a blue motorcycle that belonged to a regular customer. The bike had been making a strange noise, and Tom was ready to find the problem. As he bent down to check the engine, the bell over the garage door rang, cutting through the quiet. Tom looked up and saw a man walking in. The man wore a dusty leather jacket and a helmet that looked like it had seen many roads. His face was calm and a little tired. He pulled off his helmet and ran a hand through his hair. "Morning," the man said softly. Tom nodded in return. "Morning. What can I do for you?" The man pointed to his old motorcycle parked just outside. It was scratched and worn but still held a strong shape. "Think you can fix her?" Tom studied the bike. The tires were flat, the chain was rusty, and the engine looked like it hadn't been started in months. But Tom saw something more. He saw the care the bike had once received, the journeys it had made. "Yeah," Tom said quietly. "I think I can." The man smiled for the first time. "Good. I don't have much time, but I want to get her running again." Tom nodded and went to work. He grabbed his tools and began to clean the engine. He checked every wire, every bolt, every small part. The work was slow and careful, and Tom liked it that way. He wasn't just fixing a machine, he was bringing something back to life. As Tom worked, the man sat quietly on a bench, watching. He didn't say much, but Tom noticed the way his eyes moved from the bike to the garage, to the other motorcycles waiting to be fixed. It was clear he cared about this place, even if he didn't show it. The garage started to fill with the usual sounds of the day. The other mechanics came in, the radio played softly, and the smell of fresh coffee drifted from the small kitchen. But Tom stayed focused on the bike. After a few hours, the bike looked almost new. Tom had replaced the old spark plugs, cleaned the carburetor, and tightened every loose part. He checked the tires and filled the gas tank. Then he wiped his hands on a rag and started the engine. The bike roared to life with a strong, steady sound. The man's eyes lit up. "You did good," he said simply. Tom smiled, feeling a warm pride he didn't often show. "She's ready to ride." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a few bills. "Here's for your work." Tom shook his head. "Keep it. It's not about money." The man looked surprised but didn't argue. Instead, he said quietly, "Thank you, Tom." Tom blinked in surprise. "How do you know my name?" The man smiled gently. "People who do good work don't go unnoticed. You have a reputation here." Tom didn't know what to say. He had never thought much about his reputation. He just did his best every day. The man put on his helmet and climbed onto the bike. Before he left, he turned to Tom again. "If you ever need help, just remember some kindness never goes unnoticed." And with that, he drove out of the garage, leaving behind a quiet feeling of hope. Tom watched the bike disappear down the road. Then he looked back at the busy garage, the sounds of the day growing louder. For the first time in a long time, Tom felt something shift inside him. Maybe, just maybe, things were about to change. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the small town. At Ray's garage, the usual sounds filled the air: tools clinking, engines humming, and the chatter of workers beginning their day. But Tom felt a little different today. The words of the man with the dusty motorcycle stayed with him. Some kindness never goes unnoticed. What did that mean? Tom couldn't stop thinking about it. Tom arrived early as always, carrying his toolbox and ready to work. He greeted Anna, the receptionist, who smiled warmly. Anna was friendly and kind, always trying to keep the mood light in the garage. "Morning, Tom," she said. "Did you hear about the man who came yesterday?" Tom shook his head. "No, what about him?" Anna lowered her voice a little. "He's not just any customer. Someone from the company, but no one knows exactly who. Some say he's important. Maybe even the boss." Tom frowned. "Why would the boss come here?" Anna shrugged. "I don't know, but the way he talked to you, it seemed special." Tom didn't have time to think more. Ray, the owner of the garage, called him to the office. Tom's heart beat a little faster as he walked up the stairs. Ray sat behind his desk, looking serious. "Tom, we need to talk," Ray said without smiling. Tom nodded slowly. He knew this wasn't going to be easy. "I heard about the work you did yesterday," Ray began. "Fixing that old motorcycle. You didn't follow the usual rules. You didn't charge enough, and you spent too much time on it." Tom took a deep breath. It wasn't about the money. The bike needed help. "I did what I could." Ray's face grew harder. "This is a business, Tom. We have rules. You can't just do things your own way." Tom felt a knot in his stomach. He had always tried to do his best. "I'm sorry if I broke the rules, but I want to help people." Ray shook his head. "That's not enough. If you can't follow orders, maybe this isn't the right place for you." Tom looked down, his hands trembling slightly. He knew what this meant. "Ray, please," Tom said softly. "I love working here. I want to stay." Ray didn't respond. He stood up and walked to the door. "I'm sorry, Tom. You're fired." Tom's world seemed to stop for a moment. The room felt cold and empty. He gathered his things quietly and left the office without another word. Outside, the noise of the garage continued, but Tom felt alone. Anna watched him leave, her eyes filled with sadness. She wanted to say something but didn't know what. Meanwhile, Ray sat back at his desk, staring at the phone. He didn't understand why he felt uneasy. The man who had come yesterday wasn't just any customer, and now, Tom was gone. As the day went on, Tom stayed outside the garage, sitting on an old tire. He watched the workers move around, their faces busy but distant. He thought about the motorcycle, the man, and the words he had said. Some kindness never goes unnoticed. What if that was true? Suddenly, the sound of engines caught everyone's attention. Tom looked up just in time to see 7 black SUVs rolling into the garage yard. The vehicles were big, shiny, and looked very important. Mechanics stopped what they were doing, and Anna stepped outside, her eyes wide with surprise. Ray rushed out of his office, phone still in hand, trying to understand what was happening. The lead SUV stopped in front of the garage. The door opened, and out stepped the man from yesterday. But today, he was different. His dusty jacket was gone, replaced by a sharp, dark suit. He looked confident and calm, his eyes scanning the yard as if he had been here many times before. Ray swallowed hard. "Can I help you, sir?" he asked nervously. The man smiled slightly and looked directly at Tom. "There you are," he said softly. Tom stood up slowly, unsure of what to say. The man turned to Ray. "My name is Daniel. I am the regional director for Storm Motors Group. We own this chain of garages." Ray's face went pale. "I didn't know," Daniel shook his head. "You didn't want to know." He looked back at Tom. Tom is one of the best mechanics I have ever seen. We send people like me undercover to find workers who truly care about their job. Tom fixed a motorcycle that others would have ignored. He did it with no thought for extra money or time. Ray's eyes widened. Daniel continued, "We are opening a new facility soon, and we need someone who understands what it means to care for machines and people. Someone to lead the team and teach the young workers." He smiled at Tom again. "Tom, would you like to take that job?" Tom blinked. This was more than he had ever dreamed. Anna smiled quietly, proud of Tom. Ray stood there, feeling regret. Tom looked at Daniel and then at Ray. He knew this was a turning point. He took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes. I want to." Daniel extended his hand, and Tom shook it firmly. The black SUVs began to move again, and Tom climbed into the lead vehicle. As the SUVs disappeared down the road, the garage fell silent. Ray looked at the empty yard and understood he had lost something valuable. Tom walked out of Ray's office with a heavy heart. The word fired echoed in his mind like a loud bell he couldn't ignore. 5 years of hard work, early mornings and late nights all gone in a moment. He didn't shout or argue. Instead, he packed his small toolbox slowly and left the garage quietly. Outside, the sun was bright, but Tom felt nothing but cold inside. He stood near the gate, watching the busy workers move around the yard, repairing cars and motorcycles without a care. He thought about the man who had come yesterday, the man who had trusted him without asking questions or demanding anything. That man believed in kindness, but his own boss did not. Tom's hands trembled slightly as he lifted his toolbox. What would he do now? Where could he go? His mind raced with worries and questions. For the first time in a long time, Tom felt lost. Anna, the receptionist, approached him quietly. Her face was full of sympathy. "Tom," she said softly, "I'm sorry about what happened. Ray can be hard sometimes." Tom looked at her and managed a small smile. "It's okay, Anna. I just wanted to do my job." Anna nodded. "You always do. You're one of the best mechanics here." Tom's smile grew a little wider. "Thanks, Anna." As the day went on, Tom stayed near the garage yard, sitting on an old wooden bench. He watched the cars come and go, the workers talking and laughing, but he felt separated from them all. The job that he loved was gone, and with it, a part of himself. Suddenly, the sound of engines and heavy vehicles rolling into the yard caught everyone's attention. Tom looked up and saw 7 black SUVs moving slowly into the garage space. The vehicles were large and shiny, their windows dark and reflective. Workers stopped their work and stared. Anna stepped outside, eyes wide in surprise. Even Ray left his office, his phone still in hand, looking confused and worried. Tom's heart beat faster. The man from yesterday, the man who had come with the dusty motorcycle, was stepping out of the lead SUV. But this time, he looked different. His dusty jacket was replaced by a clean, dark suit. His calm eyes held a quiet power. Ray swallowed nervously. "Can I help you, sir?" he asked. The man smiled slightly and looked directly at Tom. "There you are," he said gently. Tom stood up slowly, feeling a mix of surprise and confusion. The man turned to Ray. "My name is Daniel. I am the regional director for Storm Motors Group. We own this chain of garages." Ray's face went pale. "I didn't know," Daniel shook his head. "You didn't want to know." He looked back at Tom. "Tom is one of the best mechanics I have ever seen. We send people like me undercover to find workers who truly care about their job." Tom fixed a motorcycle that others would have ignored. He did it with no thought for extra money or time. Ray's eyes widened, and he swallowed hard. Daniel continued, "We are opening a new facility soon, and we need someone who understands what it means to care for machines and people. Someone to lead the team and teach the young workers. He smiled warmly at Tom. Tom, would you like to take that job? Tom blinked, overwhelmed. This was more than he had ever hoped for. Anna smiled quietly, proud of Tom. Ray stood there, feeling regret and shame. Tom looked at Daniel and then at Ray. He knew this was a turning point. It was a moment where kindness and hard work were finally recognized. He took a deep breath and nodded. Yes. I want to. Daniel extended his hand, and Tom shook it firmly. The black SUVs began to move again, and Tom climbed into the lead vehicle. As the SUVs disappeared down the road, the garage fell silent. Ray looked at the empty yard and understood he had lost something valuable. Tom sat in the SUV, feeling a strange mix of sadness and hope. He was leaving the only place he had ever called work, but he was stepping into a new beginning. Daniel spoke quietly beside him. You did the right thing, Tom. Sometimes, people don't see kindness until it's too late. Tom nodded. I just want to fix things, to make them better. Daniel smiled. And that's why you'll do well. As the SUVs drove away, Tom looked out the window at the town he had known all his life. He felt ready. Ready for the challenges ahead, ready to prove that kindness and hard work always matter. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over Ray's garage. The usual buzz of work was still there, but something felt different, quieter, as if the heart of the place was missing. Tom sat alone near the garage gate, his toolbox resting on the ground beside him. He stared at the empty spot where the old motorcycle had once stood. For the first time, Tom felt the weight of being without a place to belong. The yard was full of voices and machines, but none of them reached him. His hands itched to work, to fix something, to bring life back to broken things. Tom's mind wandered to the man in the suit, Daniel, the regional director. Daniel had offered him a new job, a chance to start fresh. But Tom wasn't sure if he was ready to leave the town he had lived in all his life, or the garage where he had poured so much of his heart. The sound of engines interrupted his thoughts. He looked up just in time to see 7 black SUVs pull slowly into the yard. The vehicles glided in like shadows, quiet but powerful. Workers stopped and stared. Anna came out of the office, her eyes wide with surprise. Even Ray, who had been busy inside, rushed out, his phone forgotten in his hand. The lead SUV stopped near the garage entrance, and the door opened smoothly. The man from yesterday stepped out. This time, his suit was perfectly pressed, his shoes shining. He looked around the yard calmly, but his eyes quickly found Tom. There you are, he said softly. Tom stood up slowly, feeling a mixture of surprise and hope. Ray swallowed nervously, his voice shaking slightly. Can I help you, sir? Daniel nodded at Ray, then turned to the gathered workers. My name is Daniel. I am the regional director for Storm Motors Group. We own this garage and many others across the region. The workers looked at each other, surprised to hear the name spoken aloud. Daniel's eyes returned to Tom. We often send people like me undercover, to see who really cares about their work. We look for people who go beyond the job, who fix more than just machines. They fix trust, pride, and respect. Ray's face grew pale. I didn't know. Daniel shook his head. You chose not to see. He looked at Tom with respect. Tom fixed a motorcycle that others ignored. He didn't charge extra. He didn't complain. He simply cared. Tom felt warmth grow inside him. He had never thought about being noticed in that way. Daniel turned back to the crowd. We are opening a new facility soon, one that will need strong leadership, care, and honesty. We need someone who knows how to fix machines, yes, but also how to build a team and inspire trust. He smiled at Tom. Tom, would you like to be that person? Tom blinked, stunned. This was a chance he had never dreamed of. Anna's face lit up with pride. Ray lowered his head, regret clear on his face. Tom looked at Daniel, then at Ray. This was more than a job offer. It was a test of values. Of kindness. Of believing in good, even when it was hard. Taking a deep breath, Tom nodded. Yes. I want to. Daniel smiled and extended his hand. Tom shook it firmly. The black SUVs began to move again, engines low but strong. Daniel invited Tom to get inside the lead vehicle. As Tom climbed in, he took one last look at the garage, the place where he had learned his trade, the place that had almost lost him. The SUVs rolled away from the yard, carrying Tom toward a new future. Inside the vehicle, Daniel spoke softly. You did the right thing, Tom. Sometimes people don't see kindness until it's too late. Tom nodded. I just want to fix what's broken. Machines, yes, but people too. Daniel smiled warmly. And that's why you'll succeed. The SUV windows reflected the town as it passed by. Tom's heart was full of hope and a little nervousness. But he was ready to begin again. The quiet yard was left behind, but the memory of it stayed with him. It was a reminder that sometimes, the smallest acts of care can change everything. The black SUVs disappeared down the road, carrying Tom away from the garage he had known for years. His heart was full of mixed feelings: sadness for leaving, hope for what lay ahead, and a quiet excitement about the new chance he had been given. The vehicle stopped in front of a large building with bright windows and clean walls. It was the new facility Daniel had mentioned, a place where many machines would be repaired, and new workers would be trained. Tom looked up, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was not just a job, it was a new beginning. Daniel opened the door and led Tom inside. The air smelled of fresh paint and clean metal. Inside, there were rows of motorcycles and cars waiting for repair. Young workers moved carefully between the machines, some watching Tom with curious eyes. Welcome, Daniel said. This place is going to be your new home. Tom nodded quietly. He looked around, imagining all the work that would be done here: the broken machines fixed, the customers satisfied, and the workers learning the skills they needed. Daniel clapped Tom on the shoulder. You'll be the head mechanic. You'll lead the team and teach them how to care for every bike and car, just like you did yesterday. Tom felt a smile grow on his face. He knew that this was more than just fixing machines, it was about helping people feel proud of their work. The next days were busy. Tom met the team, a group of young mechanics eager to learn. Some were quiet and shy, others were confident but still unsure. Tom listened to them all and showed them how to check engines carefully, how to listen for the smallest noises, and how to treat every bike as if it were their own. One young mechanic, Sarah, reminded Tom of himself when he was starting. She worked hard but often doubted her skills. Tom spent extra time with her, encouraging her and sharing his own stories of mistakes and successes. Slowly, the team began to grow stronger. The machines they repaired started to run smoother, and customers began to notice the care and skill in every job. One afternoon, Daniel came to visit the new garage. He walked around, watching the workers and listening to their conversations. When he saw Tom helping Sarah with a difficult repair, he smiled quietly. After the tour, Daniel pulled Tom aside. "You're doing well," he said. "I knew you had the right heart for this. It's not just about fixing motorcycles, it's about building trust." Tom felt proud but stayed humble. "I want everyone here to feel that same pride." Daniel nodded. "That's why we chose you." Back at the garage, Tom found himself thinking often about the man who had come with the dusty motorcycle, the man who had trusted him when no one else did. That visit had changed everything. Without that chance, Tom might still be working alone, unnoticed. One evening, after the workday was over, Tom sat outside the new garage. The sky was a deep blue, the stars beginning to shine. He pulled out a small notebook he had kept since he was young. In it, he wrote down his hopes for the future, to help more people learn the value of kindness, to fix not just machines but also the broken trust between workers and bosses. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Anna back at the old garage. "We miss you here. The place feels different without you." Tom smiled and replied, "Thank you, Anna. I miss you too. But I'm ready to build something new." As he put the phone away, Tom felt a warm feeling spread through his chest. This was the start of something good, not just for him but for everyone who believed in kindness and hard work. Tom knew the road ahead would not always be easy, but he was ready. Ready to face challenges, to teach, to learn, and to keep kindness alive in every engine he fixed. Because sometimes, the smallest acts of care could change not only a machine but a whole life. Weeks passed since Tom had started working at the new garage. The days were long and filled with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, Tom felt alive. He was not just fixing motorcycles, he was building something bigger: a team, a family, and a place where respect and kindness mattered. Every morning, Tom arrived early, just like he used to at Ray's garage. But now, there was a different feeling in the air. The workers were eager to learn, and Tom could see how much they respected him. He was not just their boss, he was their teacher and friend. One day, Sarah, the young mechanic Tom had been helping, came to him with a worried look. "Tom," she said, "I'm afraid I made a mistake on a customer's bike. The engine isn't running right." Tom smiled kindly. "Mistakes happen, Sarah. What matters is how you fix them." Together, they went to the workshop and carefully looked at the bike. Tom showed her how to check each part step by step. After a few hours, the engine purred smoothly. Sarah's face lit up with relief. "Thank you, Tom. I'm learning so much." Tom felt proud. Helping others grow was becoming the best part of his job. But not everything was easy. One morning, a delivery truck arrived with a motorcycle that had been in an accident. It was badly damaged. The team looked worried. "This one will be hard," said one mechanic. Tom nodded. "We'll take it one step at a time." They worked carefully, repairing each broken part. Tom showed the team how to be patient and not rush. Slowly, the bike began to look whole again. While working, Tom noticed a familiar face outside the garage. It was Anna, the receptionist from Ray's garage. She waved and smiled. After work, Anna came inside. "I wanted to see how you're doing," she said. Tom smiled warmly. "It's been good. Different, but good." Anna looked around the busy garage. "You've built something special here." Tom nodded. "I hope so. It's more than fixing bikes, it's about trust." Anna smiled. "You've taught all of us that kindness matters." That evening, Tom sat alone in his small office, thinking about how far he had come. He thought about Ray and the moment he had been fired. It hurt, but it had led him to this new path. His phone buzzed again. It was a message from Daniel. "Great work, Tom. The team is growing strong because of you." Tom replied, "Thank you, Daniel. I'm just getting started." The days grew busier, but Tom kept his calm. He knew that the secret to success wasn't just skill but caring for the machines, the people, and the work. One afternoon, Daniel returned for a surprise visit. He watched Tom teach the team, laughed with them during breaks, and encouraged Sarah as she repaired a motorcycle. After the tour, Daniel spoke quietly to Tom. "You're doing more than I hoped. You're changing the way this company works." Tom smiled humbly. "I just want everyone to feel proud of what they do." Daniel nodded. "And you're making that happen." That night, Tom went home feeling tired but happy. He thought about the man who had come to the garage in the dusty jacket, the man who believed in kindness. Without him, Tom might never have found this new life. Tom looked around his small room and made a quiet promise: he would never forget the power of kindness, no matter what happened next. The garage was no longer just a place for fixing motorcycles, it was a place where trust was rebuilt, one careful step at a time. The morning sun spilled golden light across the new garage. Tom stood outside, watching his team prepare for another busy day. The sound of laughter mixed with the hum of engines filled the air, a sign of the new life he had helped build. It was a far cry from the quiet loneliness he had felt weeks before, sitting alone by the old garage's gate. Tom smiled as he saw Sarah carefully checking a motorcycle, her confidence growing with every turn of the wrench. Other workers moved quickly but with care, learning not just to fix machines but to respect their craft and each other. Daniel had returned earlier that week with good news. The company had officially made Tom the head mechanic and trainer for all new garages in the region. It was a big responsibility, but Tom was ready. He knew that kindness and care were the true tools of success. Yet, even with all this, Tom never forgot the lesson he had learned the hard way: the value of kindness, and how it could be ignored or misunderstood by some. Ray, the boss who had fired him, had taught Tom something important: sometimes people don't see what's right in front of them until it's too late. Tom decided to visit the old garage one last time. He wanted to say goodbye not with anger, but with understanding. When he arrived, the yard was busy as usual. Ray was there, looking older and quieter than before. Tom walked up to him slowly. "Ray," Tom said, "I came to say goodbye." Ray looked up, surprised. "Tom. I didn't expect to see you." Tom nodded. "I wanted to thank you. You pushed me away, but it made me stronger." Ray's eyes softened. "I was wrong to fire you. You showed me what it means to care." Tom smiled gently. "Sometimes people don't understand kindness until they lose it." Ray sighed. "I hope you'll forgive me someday." Tom shook his head. "There's nothing to forgive. I'm grateful for the chance to find a new path." They stood together for a moment, the past and future meeting in quiet peace. Back at his new garage, Tom felt ready to face whatever came next. The team had grown stronger, the work was meaningful, and every motorcycle fixed was a story of trust rebuilt. One afternoon, a young boy came to the garage with his small bicycle. He looked shy and uncertain. Tom knelt beside him. "What's the matter, little one?" The boy pointed to a broken chain. "My bike won't move." Tom smiled. "Let's fix it together." As he worked, Tom thought about how kindness could begin with simple acts like this. Fixing a bike, helping a stranger, believing in someone's potential. When the bike was ready, the boy's face lit up with joy. He thanked Tom and rode away, free and happy. Tom watched him go and felt a deep sense of peace. This was why he did what he did: to bring hope, to repair not just machines, but lives. That evening, Daniel called again. "Tom," he said, "you've done more than fix motorcycles. You've built a family, a team, and a new way of working. The company is proud." Tom thanked him quietly. "I couldn't have done it alone." Daniel smiled. Kindness is never alone. As Tom looked out over the garage yard, the sun setting behind the hills, he felt ready for the road ahead. No matter what challenges came, he knew one thing for sure: kindness and hard work would always lead the way. And with that thought, Tom turned inside, ready to face tomorrow with a heart full of hope.